Hello and welcome to our channel. We're glad you're here, and we invite you to join us on a dark, unsettling journey into the story of Frankenstein. This is not just a tale about a monster stitched together from dead flesh. It is a story about human ambition, fear, and the dangerous desire to cross boundaries that were never meant to be crossed. From the very beginning, Frankenstein asks a question that still haunts us today. What happens when knowledge moves faster than responsibility? In this Netflix adaptation, the horror doesn't come from shadows or screams alone. It comes from choices, from silence, and from the moment a creator turns his back on what he has brought into the world. Victor Frankenstein is not driven by evil intentions. He's driven by obsession, by the belief that intelligence and ambition alone justify his actions. But the moment life opens its eyes in his creation, everything changes. The creature is not born a monster. It becomes one through rejection, isolation, and cruelty. As we move deeper into this story, you'll see how fear shapes human behavior, how society often punishes what it does not understand, and how neglect can be just as violent as any act of brutality. This film forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the real horror is not in what is created, but in how we respond to it. Frankenstein is a tragedy disguised as a horror story, a reflection of our own world, where innovation races ahead while empathy struggles to keep up. In this video, we'll break down the story, explore the psychology of its characters, and uncover the deeper meanings hidden beneath its dark atmosphere. By the end, you may find yourself questioning who the real monster truly is: the creature born from science, or the human who refused to take responsibility for his creation. Victor Frankenstein's story does not begin with evil intentions. It begins with fear. Fear of death, insignificancy, and human limitation. From a young age, Victor is driven by an intense desire to understand how life works and, more importantly, how it can be controlled. In this Netflix adaptation, his obsession feels disturbingly modern. The belief that intelligence, talent, and ambition give someone the right to cross ethical boundaries. Victor isolates himself, not because he hates people, but because people become distractions. Relationships, empathy, and morality slowly lose importance. As his experiment becomes the center of his world, the film carefully shows how obsession narrows perspective. The more Victor learns, the less human he becomes. His pursuit of greatness is fueled by ego as much as curiosity. He doesn't just want to discover something new. He wants to be remembered, admired, immortal. This is where the danger begins. The story subtly warns that obsession rarely announces itself as madness. It often disguises itself as passion. Victor convinces himself that success will justify the cost, that once life is created, everything else will fall into place. But creation is not the same as responsibility. The moment he succeeds, the illusion collapses. The achievement he dreamed of instantly terrifies him. Instead of pride, he feels horror. Instead of responsibility, he chooses escape. This section of the story forces us to confront a hard truth. Obsession can blind even the most brilliant minds, turning noble curiosity into reckless destruction. The awakening of the creature is one of the most emotionally powerful moments in the film. Not because of fear, but because of vulnerability. The creature enters the world confused, overstimulated, and completely alone. It has no language, no understanding, and no guidance, only sensations and instinct. Crucially, the film makes it clear that the creature is not violent by nature. Its first impulses are curiosity and a desire for connection. However, the very person who should have guided it, its creator, abandons it in fear. This rejection becomes the creature's first lesson about humanity. As it wanders through the world, every attempt at connection is met with terror, cruelty, or violence. People do not see a living being. They see a threat. The creature learns pain before it learns words. The film emphasizes how rejection shapes identity. When you are treated like a monster long enough, you begin to believe that is all you are. This section challenges the audience to rethink the idea of inherent evil. The creature is not born dangerous. It is made dangerous by neglect and abuse. Its transformation is slow, tragic, and understandable, which makes the horror more unsettling. The question is no longer why does the creature become violent, but how could it not? This part of the story is less about horror and more about the devastating consequences of abandonment. As the creature interacts with the world, the film shifts its focus from individual failure to collective responsibility. Society, not just Victor, plays a role in shaping the tragedy. The creature's appearance becomes its curse. Just before it can speak, attacked before it can explain. The film mirrors real human behavior. Fear of the unfamiliar, quick judgment, and mob mentality. Instead of curiosity or compassion, people respond with violence, reinforcing the idea that difference equals danger. Victor, meanwhile, watches the consequences unfold but refuses to intervene. His silence becomes a moral failure. He understands the truth, yet chooses self-preservation over accountability. This section highlights a disturbing reality. Wrongdoing is not only committed by action, but also by inaction. The creature begins to recognize patterns. Kindness is rare, cruelty is predictable, and justice does not exist for beings like him. Society becomes a mirror reflecting its own ugliness back at itself. The film forces viewers to ask uncomfortable questions about how often we reject what doesn't fit our expectations, and how his eye fear overrides empathy. The tragedy deepens because none of this feels exaggerated. It feels familiar. The monster is not created in a lab alone. It is completed by society's failure to see humanity where it least expects it. The confrontation between Victor and the creature is not a simple battle of good versus evil. It is a psychological reckoning. Both characters are trapped by their choices, bound together by guilt, resentment, and unfulfilled needs. The creature does not seek mindless destruction. It seeks recognition. It demands accountability, not affection. Victor, however, refuses to accept that responsibility cannot be erased. He views the creature as a mistake rather than a life, reducing a complex being to an error that must be corrected. Their conflict reveals a disturbing symmetry. Both are isolated, consumed by obsession, and unable to escape the consequences of their actions. The creature mirrors Victor's emotional state. Anger born from neglect, loneliness transformed into rage. The film suggests that the monster is not Victor's opposite, but his reflection. This realization is what makes their conflict tragic rather than heroic. Neither can truly win because both are already ruined. Revenge replaces understanding, and destruction becomes the only language they share. This section strips away the fantasy of control and exposes the truth. Creation without responsibility inevitably turns into confrontation. At its core, Frankenstein is not a warning about science, but about ethics. The film speaks directly to a modern world, obsessed with innovation, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and technological power. It asks whether progress without moral consideration is progress at all. Loneliness emerges as the true monster of the story, infecting both creator and creation. The film also explores responsibility. Once you bring something into the world, you cannot abandon it without consequence. Fear of the unknown, another central theme, reveals how quickly humanity chooses violence over understanding. Perhaps the most unsettling message is that evil is rarely intentional. It grows from neglect, denial, and cowardice. By the end, Frankenstein feels less like a horror film and more like a mirror held up to society. It challenges viewers to reconsider who deserves empathy, who is allowed to belong, and how often we create problems and then refuse to face them. The story endures because its warning remains unanswered. Intelligence without compassion does not make us gods, it makes us monsters. As the story of Frankenstein comes to an end, what lingers is not fear, but sorrow. The quiet weight of choices that could never be undone. This is not a tale where evil is defeated and order is restored. It is a tragedy where every path leads to loss, and every victory comes too late. Victor Frankenstein set out to conquer death, to leave his mark on the world through brilliance and ambition. Yet in doing so, he created something far more powerful than life itself: consequences. The creature, born without hatred, becomes a symbol of what happens when responsibility is abandoned and compassion is withheld. By the final moments, it becomes painfully clear that neither creator nor creation truly wins. Both are consumed by isolation, regret, and the unbearable realization that the world they long to belong to will never fully accept them. What makes Frankenstein endure across centuries is not its horror, but its honesty. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that monsters are rarely born. They are shaped by neglect, fear, and and silence. In a world racing toward innovation, this story feels more relevant than ever. We continue to create powerful technologies, ideas, and systems, yet we often fail to consider the human cost that follows. Frankenstein reminds us that intelligence without empathy is dangerous, and progress without responsibility is empty. The film leaves us with a question that has no easy answer. If we create something we cannot control, do we destroy it or do we finally take responsibility for it? As the screen fades to black, the real horror is not what we've seen, but what we recognize in ourselves. How often do we turn away from what makes us uncomfortable? How often do we judge before we understand? And how often do we create problems, only to deny our role in them? Frankenstein doesn't ask us to fear the monster. It asks us to look at it, listen to it, and understand what it represents. If this story made you think, question, or see Frankenstein in a new way, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more cinematic storytelling, and share this video with others who love deep, meaningful stories. Thank you for watching.